It was meant to be paradise, Summerland, a holiday haven on the Isle of Man where the sun always shone. But in August 1973, it became a vision of hell. The whole complex destroyed by fire in a matter of minutes. 50 people lost their lives. BBC Radio Lancashire presenter Sally Naden, who was then a dancer, was one of the lucky ones who survived. 40 years on, she's been back to the island to tell the tragic story of Summerland.
Horrible sight to see. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
The whole lot just went up like that, and the whole building was absolutely wrecked.
Well, I heard screaming, people screaming. I'd run upstairs.
Yelling and screaming and crying, and people were running back in trying to find their children. Children had been downstairs.
40 years ago, I made this journey from the mainland to the Isle of Man. I was a young dancer, looking forward to summer season at a venue that was a real innovation for family entertainment. Little did I know how things would unfold for me. The place was Summerland, one of the biggest indoor entertainment centres in the world. 7 floors of family fun, no rain, no wind, no need to jet off to Spain. Its bronze-tinted cladding, Oroglass, offered a warm summer glow whatever the weather outside. But Oroglass was combustible.
Absolute pandemonium here. The Summerland is ablaze and blazing down. The fire is spreading very rapidly indeed. Fortunately, one of the doors in the Summerland building will not open.
Alan Jackson was a local DJ when he recorded that commentary on the evening of Thursday, August the 2nd, 1973.
I had the cassette that my mum had bought me for my birthday over my shoulder, and as I crossed the crazy paving, so the double glass doors burst open.
People are running all over the place. Just the one fire engine has arrived at the moment. One fire engine to handle this is just ridiculous. Where is the rest of the fire brigade?
It feels very strange to be here in this car park because this is the place that I escaped to when I came out of the fire all those years ago. I can hear it. You know, when we stood here, it's tinged with so many really strong memories of what happened in the fire. Being here today is something I know I'm just really grateful for the fact I am here, unlike so many others who were in this building behind me on the same night in the same fire, and they just didn't make it out.
Fire engine coming along. Here comes the police now.
The driver of the first fire engine to arrive was Alan Christian. He'd go on to become the island's chief fire officer. Now retired, memories of that night have never left him.
From what we were expecting to go to what we actually seen then with the flame going across the face of that building, that's stuck in my mind. Obviously the number of bodies that were lined up on the floor at that north staircase, that's stuck with me.
The fire brigade wasn't called until 21 minutes after the fire began in a disused kiosk outside. Staff had tried to tackle it, unaware flames had already taken hold within the walls. The first alarm calls came from a taxi driver and from a ship in Douglas Bay which had spotted smoke.
I'm still convinced to this day that if we'd have been called at 20 to 8, if somebody would have operated any of the fire alarm points within that building, it would have tripped the direct link to the fire station and we would have been mobilised. And I still think today that we probably could have prevented this.
Inside, I was about to go on stage. Then we saw smoke. There was an explosion and flames burst through. Coming towards me then was a wall of flame. Literally a wall of flame. Like a waterfall, but it was made up of flames. Floor to ceiling, moving at what's quite a rapid rate towards us. It would take less than 10 minutes for the flames to run the entire length of Summerland. It was started accidentally by 3 boys smoking. Oroglass wasn't the only issue. The inquiry into the blaze identified a chain of design and management errors. First and foremost, an external wall wasn't fire-resistant. At the Manx Museum, they have a collection of original Summerland promotional material. Seeing these images of happy, smiling faces is far removed from how I remember Summerland.
As the flames were coming nearer and nearer to us, people were on this balcony that we can see here, and I can remember people throwing their kids, small children, off the balcony in the hope somebody would catch them, because the beautiful ornate staircases were the first things to go and people couldn't get down.
Amid those awful scenes, there were heroes. I've come across some old memoirs in the public records. They tell the story of the local GP, Richard Ham, one of the first to rush to help.
Ooh, this is going to make me cry. Dr. Ham did not drive to the promenade. Instead, he smashed a window and let himself down into the flames, where he helped to carry the casualties out and dealt with them. A real hero, I think.
Oh dear, that's really putting me on the spot.
Dr. Ham dismisses any suggestion of heroism, but we know he stationed himself at one fire exit, working with firemen to resuscitate casualty after casualty.
The building might have collapsed, but it doesn't matter, does it? It's just what you do. I mean, there's nothing courageous or anything about that. It's a fact of life. If you can help, you help.
How many people's lives do you think you saved that day?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. It was impossible to say. I just don't know. On top of everything else, I don't know. As far as I know, and I need to be a bit cautious, but as far as I know, nobody left where I was without a pulse.
After 40 years, it's right to remember such extraordinary actions. I was lucky. I didn't require his heroic services that night.
Where I was, behind me, there was a huge plate glass window that overlooked the aquadome, this big swimming pool there. And the guys in the band, they were absolutely fantastic because they grabbed this trestle table and they started ramming this plate glass window that was enormous. And I can remember feeling the heat on my face and seeing the window almost bend, thinking, this is not going to go. And if this doesn't go, we've got nowhere to go. We had nowhere else to escape to. And then eventually it smashed, and the band and us 4 dancers in costume ran out.
In August, a memorial to all those who didn't escape was unveiled. 50 names, including 3 members of the Cheetham family from Merseyside. Parents Dick and Betty, and their daughter June, just 13.
The people that you love just went on holiday and didn't come home.
June's sister Heather didn't join her family on their annual trip to the Isle of Man that year. She'd just got married.
It's the wondering of what the future would have been. They would have seen my children, they would have seen my sister's children, they would have been a part of their lives. My little sister, she was only 13. What life would she have had? She could have been married, there'd been more family. It's a sense of loss for what could have been.
Seeing all the names on the stone makes me realise just how lucky I was to escape. Not just me, the man who was then my boyfriend and is now my husband, he escaped as well, and he's with me and is now the other side of the camera. And it just really brings home the words that are on the stone. We will not forget.
It's unknown. Everybody knows about Hillsborough, they know about Zeebrugge, they know about all the other major disasters, but not the Summerland and the Isle of Man. And I think it's hurtful for the people, not only who've lost relatives, but the people who survived it.
Coming up, revealing the time when Cheshire went dry.
A couple of 100 years ago, the closure of something that was so fundamental to the community would have been drastic. You know, it was a real